Sometimes it's not that you're inconsistent, it's that your energy is divided. From the outside, it can look like a lack of discipline. You start something, then stop. You make plans, then delay them. You tell yourself you'll focus, but your attention keeps drifting somewhere else. And over time, it begins to feel like something is wrong, like you're not as focused as you should be, not as driven as you could be, not as consistent as you want to be. But what often goes unnoticed is where your energy actually is, because attention doesn't just disappear, it gets distributed across your thoughts, your responsibilities, your relationships, your expectations, and when your energy is spread across too many directions at once, you're never fully in one place. Even if you sit down to work, part of your attention is somewhere else, something you're thinking about, something you're waiting on, something you're trying to understand, something you don't want to lose. It doesn't always feel overwhelming. Sometimes it feels subtle, like a quiet pull in the background, a thought that keeps reopening, a feeling that hasn't settled, a situation that doesn't feel fully resolved. And without realizing it, your mind stays partially engaged with it. So now, when you try to focus on something in front of you, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from split attention. Part of you is present, and part of you is elsewhere. And that division changes everything. Because focus isn't just about effort, it's about availability. If your attention is already occupied, even partially, then everything you try to do requires more effort than it should. This is where people begin to misinterpret what's happening. They notice the inconsistency, the stop and start patterns, the lack of follow-through, and they label it as a discipline problem. But often, it's not a lack of discipline, it's a lack of full presence. Your energy is divided between what you're doing and what your mind is still holding on to. And that creates friction, not loud, obvious resistance, but subtle friction. The kind that makes starting feel heavier, the kind that makes simple tasks feel harder than they should, the kind that slows you down just enough to make you question yourself. You might still get things done, but it feels less natural, less fluid, less consistent, and over time, that gap becomes noticeable. You start comparing your output to what you believe it should be, and when it doesn't match, you assume something is missing. More discipline, more motivation, more effort. But adding more pressure doesn't solve divided attention. It usually makes it worse. Because now, in addition to everything your mind is already holding, you've added expectation, and expectation takes energy too. So instead of becoming more focused, you become more scattered, trying to manage everything at once, trying to think clearly while your attention is split, trying to move forward while part of you is still elsewhere. And that's where the feeling of being off track comes from. Not because you've stopped trying, but because your energy has been stretched across too many places. The mind works best when it can fully engage with one direction at a time. Not perfectly, but clearly, even briefly. When your attention returns, when it's no longer divided, something begins to shift. Tasks feel lighter. Decisions feel simpler. Movement feels more natural. Not because anything external changed, but because your energy is no longer split. You're finally operating from one place instead of many. And that changes the way everything feels. This is why consistency isn't just about habits. It's about where your attention lives. Because whatever holds your attention holds your energy. And whatever holds your energy shapes your output. So if you ever feel like you're being inconsistent, pause for a moment and look a little deeper. Not at what you're doing, but at what your mind is still holding. What thoughts are still open? What situations still feel unresolved? What are you still mentally connected to, even when you're trying to focus elsewhere? Because sometimes the goal isn't to force more discipline. It's to gently bring your attention back. To one place, to one direction, to one moment. Even if only for a little while. Because when your energy is no longer divided, consistency stops feeling forced and starts feeling natural again.